Today in the crypto space, we see a green bounce to the upside, Ethereum up approximately 6%, and Bitcoin still going sideways. Could this be the indication that we're due for an altcoin season? The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins are definitely in the green. There are some retracements like AVAX and Near Protocol, but we do have some good projects bouncing to the upside. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin, one project that is looking pretty good, and that is Binance. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome on the channel. We talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel and click that bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on those socials. The links are in the description. And of course, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. All right, guys, let's see what's going on here in the general market. We see that, of course, Bitcoin still within range, gives us that indication that alts could definitely continue taking full advantage of the boring price action on Bitcoin. Okay, so that's an indication of altcoin season, especially right now as we see Ethereum bounce approximately 6.5% to the upside in the last 24 hours. That is definitely a sign of strength for the altcoin market, right? So first, we're going to look at the general market. We'll use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, and then we'll jump into the project for today. And of course, that project is BNB by Binance. And of course, it's been doing very well in the last little while, a nice little bounce to the upside. And that means that we could potentially see BNB recover, because we know that BNB got a bit of a layer of FUD in the last little while, and then, you know, all of a sudden we know that that becomes severely undervalued, and that would be the right time to take a bit of risk. And we see BNB doing pretty good here, up approximately 21% in the last 7 days. And of course, as a larger cap altcoin, we're seeing it contend with the top 5 spot. Solana right now is definitely at that top 4, so looking pretty good for the general crypto space. Let's keep on going down here and let's see what's going on. We see Cardano still going sideways. We have AVAX in a bit of a retracement, but still doing okay. Yes, I do identify that it is creating a slightly lower low in the local time frames. If you can see that, we have a low here, and then we're making a slightly lower low. Not the greatest thing here, because it's the beginning of a change of structure, but let's see how the bulls react upon a bounce. Do we invalidate the bearish divergence? Do we even have bearish divergence? And of course, guys, if you want me to cover AVAX in future videos or live tonight at 7:30, feel free to join and make those requests, and I'll put your requests in top priority. Right now, AVAX could be in a good buy the dip opportunity. Dogecoin still going sideways, nothing that crazy here. A Polkadot, the same thing, kind of going sideways. Polygon Matic is currently in a really good run because of the Ethereum narrative. Ethereum is running. Expect all the layer 2s to run. Polygon, Optimism, Arbitrum, and all the rest that belong into the Ethereum ecosystem should do well at the current moment. So this is good for Ethereum. This is good for the altcoin market, and ultimately for the ecosystem as a whole, right? So let's continue here. Litecoin doing pretty good. Bitcoin Cash doing all right. Nice bounce to the upside. XLM finally waking up a little bit. Remember that OP, 26% bounce to the upside. Very bullish right there. We have VeChain going sideways. I feel that VeChain is definitely a sleeping giant. Kaspa not doing much other than grinding to the downside in the last little while. It's down 8% in the last 7 days. Well, the rest of the market is pretty bullish in the immediate short term. So let's just keep that in mind, that ultimately we have to find a good level of support for Kaspa to buy those dips, because we know Kaspa is bullish, but in the short term it is definitely getting a pullback. You'll see that my stance here on Kaspa is going to get bullish very soon as we get to those horizontal supports. I'm going to put Kaspa on the list for tonight's live stream, because I feel like we need to come up with a plan, maybe put some alerts in just in case we hit those levels, and Kaspa is definitely one of them that I wouldn't mind scaling in further. Kaspa. It is a larger cap. I get it. It's a larger cap. It's $2.3 billion market cap. What does that mean? That means that the likelihood of huge gains, obviously is not there because, it is a larger cap project. But nonetheless, it's safe. And it is one of those projects that could be running into the bull run very, very hot. So I'm interested. We have Stacks still kind of grinding to the upside and Render doing the same thing. We have a lot of projects right now deep in the green. Celestia getting a bit of a dip, but still within structure. No, not even a lower low just yet on the local time frame, so we're still okay here. Arbitrum, again, part of that Ethereum ecosystem. Nice run to the upside. BitTensor getting a bounce, 16% to the upside, guys. That is the time to buy the dip, but I still feel like ultimately Tau may be looking for support. Let's get some confirmations here. This could be some follow-through price action out of a bullish divergence at horizontal, but let's wait for a backtest for a confirmation low, and that might be our opportunity to get in with a bit of a confirmation. Okay, so BitTensor, Tau is another one that I would like to put on the list for tonight. Guys, feel free to join tonight's live stream at 7:30, and we'll cover all these and many more if you have any requests. Let's keep on going down. Rocket Pool, Ethereum narrative, of course. What else do we have here? Synthetics running, and we have KuCoin going sideways. Helium, a lot of projects are running. The Bitcoin BSV looking pretty hot right now. 41% to the upside. That's pretty good. Kava grinding to the upside, and PancakeSwap looking really good at $3.45. Guys, we need to see PancakeSwap reclaim its top spot at about $40. That's what I'm interested in seeing for PancakeSwap in the immediate short term. And if we continue going down, we have a lot of altcoins that are still grinding to the upside. And, of course, despite Bitcoin going sideways, and all of a sudden now we get Ethereum doing pretty good. Guys, we're seeing a lot of the altcoins take full advantage of this. Look at this market, deep in the green still. No sign of real weakness just yet. However, guys, you know what I'm going to say. Get defensive. Come up with that defensive strategy. The last thing you want to do is ignore the possibility of a quick pullback and not be able to definitely benefit on these gains, guys. You want to protect your gains and protect your initial investment at all costs, because at the end of the day, we're here to trade and make those gains. All right, guys, let's look at this. Let's talk about Bitcoin. I know you're here to talk about charts. Let's take a look at Bitcoin first. And ultimately, we can see that Bitcoin is within a nice little structure, right? We can see a nice ascending triangle. Ascending triangle, statistically speaking, should break out bullish, no doubt. So we do have that possibility. But the question is there enough bullish momentum to the upside to actually break through resistance at about 45,800? Once we hit that level, it could be that we get a failed breakout. So a failed breakout would mean that the price action actually breaks out of the horizontal resistance, breaks out and gets a quick rejection right around this level and comes right back in range, and then it's going to start to look like a distribution. It will definitely start looking like distribution. We'll have sweeps of the highs and pullbacks, and then another sweep of the highs and then pullbacks, and bit by bit go sideways here, and then finally roll over after some of the whales took a bit of profit, and then we'll roll over. Ultimately, in that time, altcoins will run, and then when Bitcoin decides to take a break and maybe pull back, that's when we'll see the altcoins dip as well, and that would be our fire sale opportunity. So far, we're doing pretty good in this market, given that Bitcoin is giving us the opportunity to get in on altcoins on the cheap and let them run, right? Bitcoin going sideways is exactly what we need. Guys, tonight we'll cover this in a little bit more detail. We'll look at the Bitcoin dominance, and we'll look at the Ethereum chart and so on and so forth, because right now, ultimately, if you start zooming out and you look at what Bitcoin has been doing, it's doing nothing. It's pretty much a stable coin hanging out here, and that's the perfect recipe for success if you're heavily scaled into those altcoins. All right, guys, let's jump into the project for today. It's a BNB, the Binance coin. Guys, it's doing pretty good. Ultimately, a nice recovery after that dip. And I feel like zooming out into larger time frames for a second here, so we can see exactly what has been happening here with the Binance, the BNB coin. Ultimately, we've come down for a double bottom, really, and it's a slightly higher low, right? So that's pretty good. We didn't really respect the 200 daily EMA or the EMA here on the weekly, but we did or are respecting the horizontal support, which I really do appreciate, right? Because at the bottom right here, we have a massive amount of weakness that could basically bring the BNB price down to about $44, guys. And I really don't think at this point that's what we're going to see. Ultimately, the worst has already been in play. If you think about it, the CZ leaving Binance is probably one of the worst things that could have happened, but ultimately the best thing for Binance and the best thing for crypto altogether. So CZ taking it on the chin, CZ taking it for the team, basically, left the space in order to let Binance do its thing and remain active as one of the leading exchanges out there, and literally removing all the uncertainty, fear, and all the FUD that could exist by him being present, right? So that is pretty good as far as Binance making things very transparent for the rest of the community. Now all of a sudden we're seeing a nice bounce to the upside. What does that mean for Binance? What does that mean for BNB coin? At the end of the day, it means that it's very likely that it starts to reclaim its spot at higher levels, right? We know that PancakeSwap right now is doing pretty good. One of the major DEXs, decentralized exchanges that hosts BNB coins, which is a good indication that people are becoming active in the ecosystem. The ecosystem is growing bit by bit, and it has great low gas fees, which is something that we're all looking forward to. Of course, we don't want to pay those gas fees, and as the ecosystem grows, the utility behind the BNB coin will obviously grow. So this is what we're doing right now, is looking for this opportunity for a W breakout. You can see this on the weekly very clearly. Double bottom, bounce, rejection, bounce, slightly higher low, if you exclude wicks, of course. And then you can see the momentum is making a slightly higher low as well. So we're doing pretty good here. We got a nice EMA cross on the MACD, and the histogram bars are nice and green. The EMAs are facing up, trying to get into the bullish control zone. So it looks like it's trying to get that impulse upwards. And if we start breaking above that $335 mark, the question is, where do we go to next? In my opinion, it does look like, and obviously none of this is financial advice, but I would see that this level right here at about $500 would be the level to watch out for. We do have some highs, we do have a few reaction spots, and ultimately it's a nice psychological level, but you can see that ultimately this price action doesn't really give you much of indication of horizontal. There's very low volume into this price action right here at the top. You can see that based on the volume profile, is that after this cluster of supply and demand above $335, $340 more or less, $350 maybe, right around here, right above this, we start to diminish significantly about the amount of market participation that we have in here. The amount of volume that is into this zone starts to diminish, which means that if we break above 360 more or less, we can definitely start getting to higher levels really quickly. The question is, when will people start taking profits? And to start to get defensive at about $500 wouldn't be that bad. It is a good measure move out of the W formation here. We start to measure the breakout target of a W. It's equal to the height of the W, more or less. It's all average, right? And if you kind of see, that would be a perfect target. And then if we start looking for Fibonacci extension levels, swing high to swing low, and then we start looking at 1.618 is all the way up here. We got a 2-to-1 extension right about here. So not bad of a scenario ultimately to start looking for defensive strategies, trailing up a stop loss and taking a bit of profits off the top. This was the time to take risk, guys. All into this double bottom, all into this horizontal support, green arrow, green arrow, green arrow. All of this area would have been a great zone to take risk. It's all about risk to reward. And if you would have noticed that if you bought into the green arrows, you would have definitely bought in to the bottom price here after a nice retracement, holding steady at this horizontal. This is the time to get in. However, at this current moment, you can see that the Binance coin is almost at a breakout stage. We're almost at a breakout trade type of scenario. And you guys know here on the channel, I'm not a breakout trader. It's not my cup of tea. It's not the way I like. I don't like buying tops. And technically, that's what you're really buying right now. On this time frame, you're buying a local top, which means that we could get rejected at about $340 at this top right here. And that means that we could come back down and test the bottom of the range once again, and we can go range bound sideways for the next little while, for a little bit longer, who knows how long. And then ultimately what happens is you bought the top, and then you're going to have to hold those negative positions. You're going to have to hold the bag all the way down, right? That's an unfortunate thing, but no risk, no reward, and that's the reality. So where do you put your stop loss? And for me, that's the hardest thing to do, because this range is pretty big. The stop loss has to be put at range lows, right under here at invalidation at about $190. If we get to that zone, that's where you would put the stop loss. But if you buy right now, you're gonna have to hold, let me take a measurement, you're gonna have to hold a negative position and hold a 40% dip, which is a significant dip, right? You don't want to hold a 40% dip. So what can you do here if you feel like a bit of FOMO that you want to get in, fear of missing out? right? You don't want to fear missing out, but you want to have some exposure in this play just in case we do break out and hit that $500 mark. The best thing to do right now, guys, is to DCA, right? And DCA relative to the current condition. The condition right now is that if you get in with $10 and it retraces, you're going to lose 40%. That's not a lot because it's only $4. However, if you get in with, you know, let's say $1,000 and you lose 40%, you're losing 400. So what I would do right now is consider the fact that you're getting in on a breakout trade, and getting in at the current moment is not a bad idea with a small position. If we do come down for another back test of the previous lows, you know, you have some capital to buy the dip and accumulate. But what about if it actually breaks out? You're going to have to understand that, you know, you're buying into a current scenario where the risk is definitely there. You're not buying bottoms. So what really happens here is if you buy in the current moment, we do break out, let's say we do come up and then we back test this level to confirm it as support, you buy the dip here. We wait for momentum on the lower time frames to reset and you buy the dip here, and then finally you get that move to the upside. Sometimes price action doesn't backtest, and that's an unfortunate thing because ultimately you want to get in where the risk to reward is healthy, and the risk to reward would be good because if it does come back in to this channel after breaking out of this previous high, that's not a good sign. The likelihood is that we're coming down all the way to about $200. So really the risk to reward at this level is healthy to get in and put a stop loss right around here and then let it run. So this is the thing that you're doing right now is taking a bit of risk, of taking a bit of chance that we did get rejected and come back down. Let's look at lower time frames here for a second. That was the weekly, just to give us a big picture. The daily's looking good. You know, we're definitely overbought conditions again, getting another impulsive move to the upside. So which means that ultimately we could break out here, and you can see that the overbought conditions on the other side, the MACD is looking nice at EMAs, green histogram bars, everything is looking really good on the daily. And if we start breaking out of this level, you can see that there's a nice volume gap above, you know, to basically weaken significantly right around this level. So we can expect a bit of a continuation to the upside, even if it's a slow grind. So not bad also on the daily, but understand we're overbought and everything right now is a bit frothy. Higher highs on the price action. Okay, we got to be clear about this. Higher highs on the price action, and it could still go higher, okay, because that right now is not a confirmed high just yet. We don't know where that high is going to end, but we can see based on the RSI right now, it is slightly downward sloping in the current state that it's in. So if the momentum on the RSI maintains this type of position where this high right here is lower than the previous high, it's class A bearish divergence, okay? So upward sloping price action, downward sloping momentum, and the MACD right now is looking really good. There's nothing negative about the MACD currently. Everything is poised to the upside, so I really do appreciate what I see here with the MACD. Ultimately, let's go on lower time frames. Let's see what the 4 hours showing us. Overbought as well. Very overbought. No bearish divergence. MACD is looking good. EMA is facing up. Green histogram bars to the upside. So ultimately, guys, big picture and lower time frames, everything is suggesting that Binance could be looking for a breakout very soon. Okay, so we got to keep this all in mind, is that all the time frames are currently really bullish. And the only negative aspect that I have is that the weekly could be looking for a mean reversion. Okay, that's the only thing. And I'm going to explain what I mean by mean reversion. Just quickly confirming the daily. No sign of mean reversion really yet, other than we're overbought. But if the weekly is overextended, look at this RSI. Look at the purple line in comparison to the yellow. Okay, and then look at this theory in comparison to the previous price action. Look at the purple compared to the yellow. Look at the purple compared to the yellow. When the purple and the yellow are far away from each other, the purple tends to want to hesitate after a while and wait for the yellow. Right, that the yellow is a moving average, all right? So the yellow wants to catch up to the purple. So what's going to happen to the purple? It's going to have to consolidate for a bit to wait for the yellow to catch up. And if that happens, we could get short-term pullbacks where we see the price action come down, and that will be evident on lower time frames. So right now the weekly is looking really hot, but could we get a short-term pullback based on the daily, given the fact there's a little bit of divergence happening and slowly getting to the previous highs of horizontal resistance? This is the issue here right now. So back to my major my thesis and my major game plan, it's DCA. This makes sense because ultimately if the daily gets that pullback, you want to have some capital to buy the dips at the point of control at about 250 more or less, and maybe a little bit higher. 270 wouldn't be bad to start scaling into this yellow box. As I mentioned before, these yellow boxes was the time to start scaling in. Okay, this is the time to scale in, and now all of a sudden we're taking off. So waiting for a pullback as well as building a position where we are right now is not a bad idea. All right, guys, thank you for stopping by. If you haven't yet, do the channel a massive favor and slap the like button. Of course, I'm going to be live tonight at 7:30 Eastern talking about crypto news and price action. If you want to follow me on those socials, the links are in the description below. But guys, join that Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setup fundamentals, and learning material. Take care, guys. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.